This is Miss Potter, and I'll be your pre-college math teacher. And this video is a getting started video, and it's meant to explain all of the buttons in the left sidebar. And so at the top here, we have the getting started button, and when we click that, we get the getting started video, which is what you're watching right now. The next button down is the announcements button. And if you notice, it took us back to the page we started on. This is what we call the landing page. And so you'll see this page every time you log into Blackboard. And it's all announcements. So here's the week 1 announcement that you should read to help you get started in week 1. And each week I'll put a new announcement up there to let you know what's happening that week in the class. The next 3 buttons, or next 2 buttons, are probably the ones you'll use the most. This button here is the pace chart button, and I have an entire video on how to navigate the pace chart. It's actually a really handy way to navigate the course, and it organizes the course week by week. So here's week 1, and then down here there's a section for week 2, and so on. And it just organizes all the activities. So for instance, this first week you're going to do introductory activities. I've kind of helped you prioritize what to do each day so that you can kind of get into a schedule. And week 1 is a bit, it's a little bit of a different schedule. Typically, when we get into the content, which starts week 2, you'll go through like a 5-step process here. And like I said, I've got other videos that explain this in much more detail. And so I'll let you watch those other videos so you can get the details regarding how to work in the pace chart and how to organize your activities for the week. Underneath the pace chart is the lesson button. And so the lesson button gives you a weekly folder where the resources are. And so here, the week 1 folder will have all those introductory activities that you saw on the pace chart as well. And week 2 is where we start the content. So I'll focus on that and just kind of show you how the content is laid out in the lessons folder. And so the content gives you some resources which you may or may not use, and then gets you some practice. And going into the practice gives you a practice quiz that you need to complete before you can get to the weekly assessments. So if you notice here, we just have the weekly practice. If I go into there, here is the formative you have to take, the practice formative you have to take in order to get the assessments for the week. And we go through all of the questions on this practice formative in the live session. So if you attend the live sessions, you'll have all of the solutions to pass this formative on the first try, and then go right into the assessments. I'm going to actually show you what that looks like in week 2. So in week 3, and so if you take a look at week 3 here, what I've done is I have gone into the practice and passed it, and now you can see that the assessment folder shows up, and it's here where you can access the 2 assessments, A and B, that you need to take each week. And those are recorded grades then in the grade book. So that's what you find under the lessons button. The next button is the textbook button, and that gives you the link to access the textbook for additional resources. And then the button underneath the textbook button is our link to get into the live class in Zoom. I'm not going to press it because I don't want to start a live class right now. But that's how you get into the live class. And then the button underneath is another Zoom link for getting into the office hour. So that's optional. If you have questions, I have that classroom open at noon on Thursday, and I just hang out there and answer questions until nobody has questions anymore. The next button underneath those two Zoom link buttons is the recorded live classes, and these are recorded live classes from last year, but I will be replacing each link week by week so that you will have the current year, the live session for the current year. And then underneath that button is the Contact Your Teacher button, and that just gives information about me and how you can get a hold of me. And then underneath that is the My Grades button. You'll use this a lot to monitor your grades in the course. And we have some summary grades at the top. And then you can see how we get into the weekly activities. So week 1, you have some practice, and week 1, you have an assessment. They're really short just to get you familiar with the process. And then week 2, here's that practice formative with the assessments for graphs of equations for A and B. Week 3, remember how I said I went in and I passed week 3's formative. That's why there's an S there. And then that opened up the week 3 folder for the assessments so that I could start working on those. And so on. And then it goes into week 4 and all the way through the semester. So that's the grades tab. And then the tabs underneath, you probably won't use that much, but they're just resource tabs. The tech support tab provides videos on how to share work and how to insert work into assessments, etc. And then class policies button. Here's our class policies. Probably the most relevant one might be the NCAA course information, which also has a button underneath class policies. So if you are a student that is planning on participating in NCAA sports, you'll want to look at that. And then class resources, they have some, each has some resources that you might find useful. And then the last one is a getting to know you. This is actually part of the week 1 activities. It's a getting to know you activity where you post some responses to a few questions that I have put in the activity, which should load. It's taking a little while to load. So those are the buttons. There we go. And so you can just, by hitting the plus, you can put an introduction for yourself and answer these questions. So those are the buttons in the left sidebar. And welcome to pre-college math, and I look forward to working with you this year.